Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food with Keto, and low carbs. That's what I do. Not everybody has to do low total carbs. Not everybody has to do total carbs. You can do net carbs if that works for you. Net carbs for me would be a very slippery slope. It could tend to me overeating, overthinking, overplanning, getting clever, fitting in more carbs than before because of the fiber content. Yeah, it's not a good place for me to be. And maybe it's not for you either. And maybe doing net carbs could lead you to binging. And binging is a very unhappy place for us to be. It's part of the disease, I think, dis-ease of being comfortable with something. Something could be brewing, nagging, gnawing at us. We could have emptiness. We could have loneliness. We could be totally overwhelmed with something going on in our life, or just our life in general. You know, sometimes we step over the line of having control of our yeses and our nos. Not this nose, the other no. And suddenly we find ourselves in places where it's like, I don't know. And I know that Abraham Lincoln said that I could do I could do this for the next 8 hours, but I could not do it for the next 24 or something like that. And, you know, for some of us, you know, I've been in places where it's been, if I can just get through the next few hours. And I hope nobody really has to live their life that way. Who wants to give away those precious hours of life just getting through? It's not my favorite place to be, because at the end you got through it, but was there any quality to getting through it, if you know what I mean? And it could be simple stuff, or it could be difficult stuff, you know, waiting for somebody to tell us something, maybe waiting for a test result, or working with somebody that is just absolutely no fun. And like, if I had to get to the place where I had to deal with them one more minute, I'd quit. Yeah, that's not a good work situation, is it? Trust me, I've had them. Yeah, not fun. It's one thing about Instacart is that I'm a lone soul out there. Same thing with being a matron. Same thing with, you know, sitting here talking to you. I get all the feedback from all of you, and then sometimes with interviews, there's a little bit of give and take. And then, of course, Girly and the Cowboy is totally give and take for an hour each month. So it's a busyness. But if you're suffering some sort of loss, or there's just an emptiness, a void, and that little thing comes back in where you want to binge, and you fight it, and sometimes we give in, and sometimes we fight it, and we wake up the next day so glad that we didn't give in. But there's other times where it's so darn powerful. For those of you that don't have a binging history, you're lucky, because it's not a fun place to be. I've been there. I've lived with people that are bingers. My heart goes out to them, where there's just simply no control. Of course, I see it all the time in the world of substance abuse, which I guess food could go under. It is a substance, and there is abuse. But, you know, where we just can't pull back the permission slip, where we just allow ourselves to do this. Now, of course, the obvious person, you know, like those of us that have been around people that don't overeat, they say, well, just stop. Can't you just stop? It's like, oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you were afflicted with this and you can help me out. Doesn't work that way. And it's the same thing with binging. Sometimes we just can't stop. And talk about powerlessness. You know, when you think after you come out of it for a while and you're able to have a look back, I think that's when the lessons get learned. That's how it always has been for me. At the time of crisis, it's just like, oh, you know, either I'm, you know, stuffing myself to get past that that void that I feel, that emptiness that I feel. The emotional emptiness for a foodie translates as a tummy emptiness, right? And so it's just not a good place to be. But when looking back, when on the other side of something, there's a time to get the wisdom and the lessons from it. What was I fighting? What wasn't there for me? You know, what emotional need did I have, or do I have on a continuing basis, that I need to be very, very careful of? I call it the SHALTS. So does AA. SHALTS. They call it HALT in 12-step programs, but I added the S on the end of it, of both. One S is sick. And when you're sick, you know, the person that you are on a regular basis, it goes way out the window. There's nothing logical, reasonable, doable. You know, it's, I'm sick, you know. Then there's the H for hungry. And sometimes we are truly hungry. Sometimes we dip back until you've adapted to things. Like if you're adapted to 2 meals a day, you could get hungry. If you're adapted to 1 meal a day, you could get hungry if you're not on your little schedule. I know I do with my OMAD. If you told me I couldn't eat today until 5 o'clock, do you think I'd be handling it well? Probably not. You know, I might whine, because that's just me. But, you know, I'm used to eating between 2 and 3. Then the A is for angry. And so, of course, we've got H and A for hangry. And you don't want to be hangry, right? You don't want to be. It's not a good place to be. People don't like to be around you. You probably don't even like yourself. So I'm not one for snacking, but if that's where you end up, have a hard-boiled egg. Have a cheese stick. Have a tablespoon of a nut butter if it's not a binge food. Something, maybe even a tablespoon of butter, or coffee with butter, tea with butter in it. Something to just alter your insides a little bit. Give it a little fat bump, a little protein bump with the egg, something. L, lonely. Yeah. It happens to the best of us. It happens to a lot of us. There are just certain times on the weekend, certain times at night, certain times, you know, if you're used to something being some way and suddenly it's not there, like a loss of a pet or a child moves out or a breakup of a relationship, there's a loneliness. And the only way through it is day by day, 24 hours a day. It's not easy. Nobody said it was, but you don't have to eat over it and you don't have to binge over it. You just have to be aware of it. And putting your tools in place for when these things happen is the important part. Okay, I'm lonely. What do I do when I'm lonely? Oh, I stuff my gullet. Well, no, that's no longer plan B, right? What can you do instead? You know, watch a video on binging or food addiction or something, or watch a video on puppies or kittens or something, and call a friend, take a walk, get in your car and go do an errand. Something that changes the channel, something that distracts you from the moment and you can get past it, right? And then T for tired. A lot of people are tired. A lot of people are sleep deprived. And trust me, that plays a big part. You know, they say that sleep is more important than exercise when it all comes down to it. And we know on a keto carnivore diet that exercise isn't part of it. You don't have to do it in order to be successful with your food plan. A lot of people say that our food plan is 90 to 95% of our overall weight and, you know, just our issues and everything else. And so that leaves 5 or 10% for exercise. I call it activity, because being busy to me is still doing something. So be careful of being T for tired. And the final S is stress. Sure is. I know a lot of you have it. And so you want to be careful with that. And these things are headless horsemen. and they will come at you and they will trample you with all those hooves, and you just don't even know what hit you. And we have all had that feeling like we've been steamrolled, where the life has just been flattened out of us. So you have to be careful, because if your plan in the past was stuffing yourself with crap, and now you've transferred it to keto treats, no. What you have to have are alternatives that don't require you to chew and swallow. That's as simple as it is. Easy? Heck no. It's simple, but it's not easy, and it's putting it into play. And I will guarantee you that if you feel that way, any of those things, sick you have to get past, but stress, killer. We know it's a killer. And I'm sure that if you're building cortisol in your body from the stress, well, that's not aiding your fat burning. It's not. Cortisol is not a friendly hormone. It's great if there's a car coming after, if there's like a bumblebee coming after you, or a car coming after you, or something, and you're in danger. Cortisol is great, but not for everyday stress. So I hope this helped you a little bit. The success comes from putting other things into play, plan Bs, that don't involve chewing and swallowing, like I just said, and distracting yourself. Getting out of that neighborhood of food, hungry, really hungry. You're not. It's boredom. There should be a B in there too. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. This has been Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food. And today, let's just go over the foods, because I did pull them up. Now, Cronometer has changed their little do-ha-ha. So for me, for today, I'm having my go-to, because I love it. 1,114 calories. My protein is 100 even. How do you get that? My total carbs are 2.9, and my fat is 76.3. Those are the kind of macros I really like. I'm happy with my weight. I'm happy with my mood. I'm happy with life, and those things help. What am I having today? I'm having a 10-ounce welfare rated 1 burger from Whole Foods, cooked in my orange. It is orange. My copper fry pan, cooking it in bacon grease, having 3 strips of bacon along with it. I am having 1 jumbo Pete and Jerry egg kind of stuck in the hole. It ends up being very messy. I love it messy. I am having 1 ounce of hickory smoked organic Gouda cheese melted on top. So the egg's on the bottom making a mess in the pan, and the cheese is on top, melting on top. And I'm having 1 tablespoon of green onion tops, just the green part, cooked in the drippings of the burger. And that is my OMAD for the day. And I'm liking it. And I like the calories, the fats, the macros, the protein, 100.0. You can't make it up. So have a wonderful day. And if you struggle with those things, you're not alone. And everybody is a snowflake when it comes to what's going to set them off. But it's having the plan B of not eating at it in place. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Sarah, Pearls of Wisdom and Food. Thanks for watching.